Hey everybody, welcome back to Tired Old Queen at the Movies. As I always say, check out our movie merchandise below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And now let's go see the tired old queen at the movies, Steve Hayes.
Happy Easter, Johnny! And I've got the perfect Easter movie. Easter Parade, with music by Irving Berlin, directed by Charles Walters from 1948, MGM, and starring Judy Garland, Fred Astaire, Ann Miller, and Peter Lawford. It's a wonderful movie. It's got all Irving Berlin scores. It's got great songs. This was originally set to be with Gene Kelly and Sid Charisse. Well, Gene Kelly broke his foot before the shooting started, so they had to replace him. And then Sid Charisse pulled ligaments in her knees, so she couldn't do it. So they decided to pair up Astaire and Garland.
I'm looking for someone to dance with.
Wrong number.
At this particular juncture, Astaire's star has not fallen, but it was less than it was. So this was them pairing him up with Judy Garland was a wonderful chance to kind of put him back at the top of the starlight thing again. And Judy loved working with him. She was so thrilled to be working with him. The story basically is this. Fred Astaire and Ann Miller are a dancing team. She gets a chance to move on to Broadway and quit vaudeville, playing the circuit and the Ziegfeld Follies and that kind of thing. And she takes it.
Oh, I know it must sound terribly selfish of me, Don, but I've just got to think of myself.
And Fred's in love with her, and he says to her essentially, you know, I could find anybody. I could get anybody to dance better than you. So he goes out and he's having dinner out with his friend Peter Lawford, and he sees Judy Garland come out and she's dancing away.
See those girls? Any one of them has as much talent as she has.
I could make anybody dance. I'm a better I could make her. And he goes up and he introduces himself.
I need a new dancing partner. I don't know how much you're getting, but I'll give you $100 a week.
$100?
And says, I want you to show up tomorrow. What? And he said, I want you to show up tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you'll do.
So she shows up and she's adorable. She's absolutely adorable, and she can't dance like he can.
Go ahead.
Who dances like Fred Astaire? So he tries to get her through. She doesn't know her left foot from her right foot. She can't get things together. But of course, eventually he's determined. He's going to do it. And she holds him to the bargain. You said that you were going to make a dancer out of me, and I quit my job. I quit my job. And so he goes, well, all right. So they start working out together, and gradually she falls in love with him.
Closer. More. Lunch? Marty.
He's a dope. He doesn't know if he's over Ann Miller, and he is. He's in love with her, but that's the way that goes. And they go on and they have a great success. And they do songs like We're a Couple of Swells.
We'd like to tell you who we kissed last night, but we can't because
there's this whole medley. Most of the songs in the movie were written between like 1911 and 1914 by Irving Berlin. So they were the authentic period, and Easter Parade, which came from a 1934 musical, Thousands Cheer, with Marilyn Miller and Clifton Webb, was based on the idea that in New York, they used to have an Easter parade every single year, back and forth. People would get up in their finest clothes, the wealthy ones, and they'd have these outrageous hats.
Oh, look, the Easter parade. Isn't it beautiful?
It's all right if you like Easter parades.
And leave it to Irving Berlin, the guy that wrote White Christmas, to have the quintessential Easter song, They shot the thing in Technicolor. The costumes are gorgeous. Astaire and Charles Walters did the choreography. The choreography is right on top. Charlie Walters was such a great dancer and director of musicals. There's a famous number with Fred Astaire, Steppin' Out With My Baby. He has the chorus, and they're all the chorus boys and the girls, and they're all doing the dance behind him. And at one point, they do him in slow motion while the chorus in back is in present motion, So Fred is dancing in slow motion in the front of the shot, and in the back of the shot, everybody else is in regular motion. It's one of the coolest things. And to see Fred Astaire do those amazing steps in slow motion and how intricate they are, it really shows you what a master he was at his craft. Originally, Minnelli was supposed to do this, but Judy and Minnelli's marriage was in trouble at the time, and Judy's psychiatrist said that it wouldn't be a good idea for Minnelli to direct this movie. She had just worked with him and had an unfortunate time working on The Pirate with Gene Kelly. So they got Charles Walters in to direct that, and it was fine. You know, he ran a good ship. He was always good, Charles Walters. He was the director of the Barclays of Broadway, which we did a couple of months ago. He always good, you know. He directed Joan Crawford in Torch Song. But he came away with his nose clean. And fud and smile and we get another boy. Anyway, so Judy came in. She was really good. She was in pretty good shape during this movie. Fred admired her. Fred was 49 when they made this movie, and Julie was still in her 20s, you know, but it all worked out.
All night long the neighbors shout, cut it out, cut it out, cut it out.
And Ann Miller, when she did this movie, her husband had thrown her down the stairs at the time. And so she injured her back. So she did all of her numbers she did with a back brace on. Plus she was pregnant. So it wasn't an easy shoot for her either. But she was tops and taps. Ann Miller was taller than Fred Astaire, so she would do her numbers, and then when they would dance together, she'd go off at the end of her number, and then she'd come back on in flat shoes. And you didn't notice that, and she would get around the same height as Fred Astaire. You know, the costumes are glorious. It's a Technicolor extravaganza. It's sort of like a bouquet of fresh spring flowers. Is how every single number is like that.
It makes it bright, refreshing, and gay.
Judy is so vulnerable. Judy Garland was, oh God, she was just such a great actress.
When I'm with you, I don't even feel like a girl.
Oh, now listen.
You're not even a human being. You're nothing but a pair of dancing shoes.
You said that.
I don't care. Besides, I bought a new dress.
And with these kind of roles, there's this wonderful, funny bit where he says, you know, you got to have appeal. You know, you want the men in the audience to look at you when we're dancing. You know, they got to look at you. Do men look at you? And Judy goes, well, I guess, you know, well, of course they look at me. Well, walk ahead of me, Fred says. Walk ahead of me. They're going up Fifth Avenue. And nobody's looking, you know, and Judy's smiling at him and nobody's looking. And suddenly the shot goes to Fred, and all these men are turning when they pass Fred to look back at her. And Fred goes, oh, that's okay. She could do it. And they go up to Judy, and Judy's going like this.
Right. You've got it.
Thank you.
Of course they're looking at her when they go by, you know. And Judy's jealous of Ann Miller. Ann Miller is, you know, she looks gorgeous, but, you know, there's no comparison.
She can't compare to you.
She can't?
Fred was a real gentleman. He loved her, and they had a really good time. And this was one of the last times before Judy really started to have problems. And so this movie was a tremendous hit. It was a big, big hit. And it put money in the box office for Judy. It elevated Fred's career. It did a lot for Ann Miller. Ann Miller went into Kiss Me Kate and On the Town. You know, it did a lot for her too. And it's got the greatest songs. So Irving Berlin was the king of the melodies. I mean, the melodies are just so, so good.
I'm just a fella with an umbrella.
And then at the very end, they sing that song. And when they sing Easter Parade and the camera pans back as only they could with MGM, you see hundreds of extras in turn of the century stuff walking down Fifth Avenue with Judy and Fred, and they're singing Easter Parade, and you just start crying. It's so beautiful. It's romantic, it's light, it's MGM musical at its very best. It's Judy Garland and Fred Astaire. Enough said. Happy Easter.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat.